Welcome back to the Charlotte Ade channel. Guys, we're on the last episode. Wow. Thank you for staying with me all these episodes, and I hope you've learned one or two things. Today's episode, we're basically just going to be gisting. I'm going to be answering some hot questions that people have always wanted to ask recruiters, and then I'll be answering them. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I know we will be asking me questions. Anu basically is my executive producer. And she's going to be asking me questions today and I will be answering them. So yeah, over to you, Anu.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hi.
All right, my first question is why do recruiters ghost candidates, especially after being the ones to reach out first?
Hey, wow. That question is loaded. To be fair, recruiters have to do better. I think as a collective, recruiters should do better. We should be a bit more responsive to candidates, especially after we've reached out to them. So as a collective, I would say my bad. We should be doing better. However, I just want to say that I would like you guys to give us some grace because as you can imagine, each job, you're not only dealing with one job, you're dealing with many other jobs and you're dealing with every day hundreds of CVs every day. It can be very hard to track. And for some organizations, some of their processes are still quite manual. So when they reach out to you on Outlook, for instance, on the mailbox, it's hard to track, especially if they are not communicating through like a platform for them to get back to you. So it can be quite difficult. So it's not intentional that they are, ghosting. It's not. It's just one volume, high volume of work, high volume of CVs. To, I don't think as in terms of processes internally with recruitment, a lot of organizations haven't fine-tuned it to make it automated and easy for us to follow back to candidates. Yeah, that's what I'll say. Well, recruiters, make we do better, Sha. We should do better. We should do better in reaching out to candidates.
Okay, the next question is do recruiters go through all CVs or is it always just ATS?
Well, to be fair, all these CVs actually come through the ATS. So when you apply, automatically it just enters into the ATS. So we review the CVs in the ATS system. And as I mentioned before, in some organizations, they already have inbuilt filters that have certain keywords that if your CV does not have those keywords, it will filter them out and you're automatically rejected. Or some organizations use AI to screen CVs and, the AI basically still uses filters anyway. If you don't have certain words or skill sets or, languages that they're looking for, it just automatically rejects you. However, me personally, I actually look at CVs and I know that there are many recruiters like myself who actually go through every CV. So I will say it's not every recruiter that does that. It depends on the organization.
So what is the polite way to dodge a question you don't know the answer to during an interview?
Okay, I think we actually answered this question in episode 4. And the best way to go about it is to be honest. That's the truth. It shows integrity. So the best way I would say you should answer it is honestly, I don't know the answers to this question. However, if I was to give this question a go, this is how I would answer it. That way, it shows that one, you have integrity, you're an honest person, and then secondly, it shows that you're able to take initiative even when you don't know. So that's the best way I'll say you should answer it.
Okay, thank you. Next question is what do hiring managers say behind closed doors after interviews? What exactly are you saying?
You guys want the tea. You can't get me fired, though. Well, it's quite difficult for me to say what hiring managers say after an interview because it depends on the interview. And to protect my job, for me to still have a job, I can't say what they say. However, the tea I will give you is that many organizations have scorecards, and scorecards are basically feedback forms at the back end in the system, in the ATS system. So when you get invited to an interview, you basically have a link. Some are still manual, you do it in Word, some are in the system, you do it on the system. And the scorecards have basically components or criteria in which you assess and mark a candidate. So there's the technical competency bits, there's the soft skills, then there's the culture alignment part, and then the overall rating of you as a candidate. So in the back end, that's what they're using to basically evaluate you, and that's what the recruiter will see. On the back end, we will see the feedback in the back end, if it's a yes or a no, things like that. And then we can then progress you or not progress you based on the feedback. So that's what we see on the back end.
Okay, let's protect your job.
Thank you.
Welcome. Next question. So why do job ads always say competitive salary but never mention the numbers?
A good question. It's a couple of factors. In a lot of organizations, salary bands are based on your experience level. So it will be difficult to put the exact salary on the job ad when they don't know your experience level yet. So they keep that for when you've gone through the process and successful. And then in the back end, there's a way that they map your experience and then they map it to the salary level. That's why it says competitive. The second reason is because they try to put or match the salary to a market rate. There are certain roles that have, every role has a market rate in the market, right? For instance, generally, UK salaries are lower than US salaries. It's just what it is. The game is the game. It sucks, but it's what it is. It's the same way a HR job in tech, the salary will be different from a HR job in finance or in insurance, for instance. So they use that word competitive to generalize across the board. That being said, I know there are certain states in the United States right now where you have to actually state the salary and you have to be transparent. It's called pay transparency, and I know that that's a thing in some countries in the US and even in the EU as well. And I know that in the next few years, the EU is working towards pay transparency as well. So in the next couple of years, we should start seeing the actual salary bands on the jobs. So in the next couple of years, we should be seeing that come through.
Okay, can't wait for it.
Yes, I know. Everybody wants to see what the salary is.
Yeah. Okay, and the last question is what is your weakness still a thing, and does it really matter?
Yeah, I think we dealt with this question, I think, in episode 3 or 4. And it's still a thing in some organizations, not necessarily all organizations, to be honest, but it matters for the purpose of self-awareness. There are many more questions you can ask around self-awareness these days, so you don't necessarily have to ask, what is your weakness? It's quite a dated question, but in a lot of organizations, they still ask it to see if you're self-aware and if you're doing anything about that weakness, and if you're someone who is keen on continuous improvement. That's really what they're trying to find out from you. Yeah, so it's still relevant in some organizations, even though it's a dated question, it's still relevant.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. That's all for now.
Thank you, Anu. Thank you for those questions. I'm sure you guys have more questions in your mind as well that you want to ask a recruiter. So just drop all your questions. Drop all your questions in the comment section, and in the next season, I will ensure to answer those questions. But yeah, it's been a beautiful, beautiful season. It's been great doing this. Even watching myself do this has been amazing. I was sweating bullocks in the first video. I was so nervous. And getting to this point is really exciting, being able to do this episode. I'm hopeful to drop a new season in a couple of months. I don't know when, I don't want to promise, but watch out for season 2. I'll be more active on TikTok. I think TikTok is for the happy people, is for the non-grandpas and grandmas. So if you're not on TikTok, I don't know what you're doing, but you should be on TikTok. I'll be on TikTok more often. I'll be sharing jobs there. I'll be sharing tips. So make sure that you look out for me on TikTok and you're following me, and you can see the more, a bit more personality on there. So that would definitely happen there on TikTok. So follow me there, like, subscribe, especially if you want to see season 2. And when the more tea is, definitely like and subscribe. Drop your questions so that we can discuss them in the next season as well. So thank you for your time. Thank you for going on this journey with me, and see you in season 2.